So today we are going to talk about the difference of the word take and get. When do we use take and when do we use get? So we're going to talk about what do we know about take and get right now? Well, we know that take and get are both verbs. They're both action words, right? We also know that take and get, since they are verbs, we have a present tense and we have a past tense, right? So the present tense, the simple present is take, right? And the simple past is took. I take the bus, or I took the bus. Now get, we know that get has a simple present tense and it has a simple past tense. Get is the simple present. Got is the past tense, right? So I get a ride to work can also be I got a ride to work. Now, what is the difference between them? So take and took, right? Take and took. It's the same, it means the same thing. It's just one is present and one is past, right? What it means is that one person does something, right? Or you do something. That's what it means. It means that it only involves one person, and that person is doing the action. They're taking the thing, or they took something. It doesn't, there's nobody else that is helping that person receive something, right? So it just means that one person is doing something. So take and took are active. It means that you or another person that's only one of them is doing something actively. They're an active just means that they're the one that are doing the action instead of it just happening to them. So for example, when you say, I take the bus, when you say, I take the bus, it means that you yourself are the person that is getting onto the bus, right? You are on the bus. You chose to go onto the bus, right? So that's why you use take. I take the bus, meaning I am the one that chose to use the bus. I took a nap. Again, a nap, right, is when you like sleep in the day, right? So when you take a nap, or when you say I took a nap, it means that you decided to do it, right? You're the one that decided. You didn't have to ask anybody's permission. You are the one that took the nap, right? You're the one that experienced it. You're the one that did it. So that's why you use take or took. Now, what I added here was taken. Do you remember how when we use have or had or has, when we say I have or I have been or I had or I had been or she has, she had been, when we say that, we have to use the special verb, right? The past participle verb. It's just the extra past tense verb that we have. And take has an extra past tense verb, taken. I have taken the car. So when you say I have taken the car, that means that you're the one that decided to get in the car and drive it. Now, when you say that, when you say I have taken the car, it's usually something that you say to somebody that uses the same car, like someone in your family, like your spouse, your partner, or your kids even. You could say, oh, I have taken the car for the day. That just means that you all share the car and you had the right, you were able to just get in the car and use it. You didn't have to ask permission. And that's what's, you can think about this in another way too. When you use take or took, it means that you did something that you did not ask permission for. So it's usually something that you get to choose by yourself, right? Now, what's the difference between get and got? So take and took, those are active. It's something that you or somebody else chooses to do, and they don't ask anybody else's permission, something that they choose. Get and got is something someone gives, they give it to you, or they gave it to you. I just realized that you put an S on it. Someone gives it to you or someone gave it to you, right? So get or got. So someone gives it to you, someone gave it to you, right? So if you take something, think of it as you doing something. But when you use get and got, it's somebody else doing something and giving it to you. You aren't the one that's choosing to do it. It's just happening to you. So if you think of it this way, take and took, it's you taking. When you get, it's somebody giving it to you. So when you take something, it's you taking it, right? But when you get something or when you got something, it's somebody else giving it to you. So think of it kind of that way. It's taking starts with you and then goes out. Getting, when you get something or when you got something, it's something else out given to you from somebody else coming to you. So get and got is what we call passive. And passive just means you don't do anything. You didn't choose to. It doesn't mean that it's always you didn't choose to, but it's when something or someone else is giving it to you, right? You're receiving something. You're not taking it, right? So it's passive. So for example, you say, I get sick a lot. When you say, I get sick a lot, we don't get sick on our own, right? We get sick from other people, right? Because they're sick, so we get their sickness. So that's why we use get, because it's someone else giving it to us. So that's why we say, I get sick a lot. It means that other people are giving you the sickness. When we say she got a car, we wouldn't say she took a car. If we said she took a car, that means she stole it. That means that she went out and took the car without anybody's permission, right? But when she got a car, it involves two people, right? It means she wanted to buy a car and someone sold her the car, two people. And the person that had the car before is the one that gave her the car. So that's why we use got instead of take. I have gotten a loan. You can also say, I have got a loan. It depends on what part of America or what country you're in that speaks English. Remember, because we have the special past verb when we say like I have, she has, we had, when we use, past perfect tense. But, or I have been. So we use I have gotten, right? We use that special past verb. Not something you need to super be worried about, but it's something to remember in English, that sometimes there's a special past verb that we need to remember. But I have gotten a loan. That means when you take out a loan, it means that you decided to get a loan, but you had to get the money from somebody else. So that means it's two people, right? And one of them is giving you something. So that's why we use get or got, right? Or gotten. So we're going to do a little bit of practice. So the first one is a cold, right? A cold is what we use to talk about the flu, right? The sickness, a sickness. A cold. When our nose is runny, we're coughing, we feel sick. Do you get a cold or do you take a cold. You get a cold or you got a cold, right? Because it involves two people. You have to catch the sickness from somebody else. Now, the next one is a raise. Now, remember yesterday we talked about what raise means, the verb raise? It means to go higher or to lift up. And when we say a raise in English, it means we're talking about the money at your work has gotten higher. You get paid more. That's what a raise is. It means your job says, you know what, we're going to pay you more money. That's what a raise is. So do you take a raise or do you get a raise? You get a raise, or I got a raise. You use get or got because you can want to be paid more money, right? You can want to have more money, but your job is the one that needs to decide, we are going to give you the money. We're going to give you more money. So that's why it's get or got. Now, a paycheck. Do you take a paycheck, right? Or are you given a paycheck? Do you get a paycheck? You get a paycheck or you got a paycheck, right? Because this is you, right? You may want to have your paycheck and you do want to have your paycheck, but your job is the one that has to send it to you, right? So that's why it's get or got. Now, a coffee. Do you get a coffee or do you take a coffee? You get a coffee or you got a coffee because you can make your own coffee, right? Because you want it, and then you're not having to ask for permission from someone. But when you say I got a coffee, it means that you bought one. It means you bought it at the store or you got one from the cafeteria. The cafeteria made the coffee and they gave it to you and you gave them money, right? So it's not like they gave it to you for free, but they still had to give it to you, right? So that's when you say I will get a coffee or I got a coffee. When you say that, you're meaning that you went to somebody else. But if you made your own, right, you wouldn't say, oh, I took a coffee. You would just say, I made a coffee. I made my coffee, right? That's what you would say. You wouldn't say take, because even though you didn't have to ask anybody's permission, the correct verb to use if you made your own coffee is I made my own coffee. And that would explain to people that's how you got your coffee. Now the next one is a new car, right? Get a new car or take a new car. It's going to be get or got. I get a new car, I got a new car. The reason we say get or got is because if you're buying a car, right, there's you and there's the person you're getting the car from. The person gives you the car, and that means that you got a car or you get a car, right? It means we use that because if you said, I took a car, I took a new car, it means that you stole it because you didn't ask anybody's permission, right? And when you buy something, when they give it to you, you paid them money, so you have permission to take it, right? Now, a flyer. A flyer is, in English, we use it to describe like the little pieces of paper that people hand out, right? Or they are like when you get on the bus and they have those little papers that have the schedule of the bus on, those are flyers. They are things like little pieces of paper and things that you can grab on your own without having to ask somebody for it. That's what a flyer is, right? It's just these little pieces of paper that tell you about things that you are free to take, right? So since it's something you don't need permission for, you can take a flyer or you took a flyer. You could say, I got a flyer, it's not incorrect to say that. It just changes what it means. If you said, oh, I got a flyer, it means that somebody else gave it to you. Somebody else sent it to you. You could say, oh, I got that flyer too. But in English, if you say, I got a flyer, it means somebody gave it to you. If you say, I took a flyer, it means that you grabbed one yourself and you didn't ask anybody's permission, which is fine because that's what a flyer is, right? But that's why that kind of shows you how take and get are different in English and how they can mean different things, right? They don't, even though both of them are about you receiving something, about something happening to you, they're a little bit different. One is somebody else is doing something to you, and the other one is you choosing to do something, right? Without anybody else's permission. So here's another one, a sample. I took or take a sample, right? Now, when we say a sample, this is another one that you could use get or got, or take or took. You could use any of them, right? It just depends on what is happening. So I don't know if any of you go to Sam's Club or Costco. They're grocery stores that you have to pay to be a member of, but they're places that you can buy a lot of food. I don't know if any of you know about them, but those stores will have free samples. They'll have food set out that you can taste to decide if you want to get that food, right? You can also have free samples at the farmer's market, or there'll be sample products that get sent to you in the mail, right? Or if you go to the doctor's office, they have sample stuff, like sample medicines or sample like lotions and skin creams and things like that. So if you said I take a sample or I took a sample, it means that there was like a table that had all of the samples sitting out and you were able to grab one without anybody's permission, right? Because nobody was there to tell you, oh, here you go. Nobody gave it to you, right? So that means if you took a sample, it means they were sitting out and you were able to grab one just on your own, by yourself. If you said, I got a sample or I get a sample, it means that someone gave it to you. Someone else sent it to you, right? Now, our car. Do you take our car or do you get our car? It's take our car. So like I said, when I said I have taken the car, it doesn't mean that you stole it, because if it's a car that you share, that you own with other people, you're allowed to drive it. And when you say I took our car or I take our car, it means that you decided to go drive the car and you didn't have to ask other people's permissions for it. You didn't have to ask, hey, can I use the car? You're just able to use it because it's yours, but you share it with other people. So for example, somebody could be like at my parents' house, I have little brothers and sisters that still live at home and drive. My parents would call me and be like, hey, did you take the car? Because the car would be gone. And they'd ask me if I took it, right? Why did I take it? They would ask me that because I was able to use the car and I didn't really have to, I was supposed to ask permission, but it was something that I could use. It wasn't like I stole it. But I could say, oh no, my brother Jacob took the car, right? That means that he's the one that decided to drive it and somebody else didn't have to give it to him, right? When you say took or take, you can use it for my car. I took my car to the mechanics, right? It means that you decided to drive your car. That's why you use take or took, because it's just you, it's just one person. And you don't only use take or took when you're using I or you're talking about yourself. You could say, oh, she took, or you could say, he is taking the bus, or you could say, anybody. You could say the government is taking, or the government took, or you could say, but it has to be a group of people or one person, just one person. It doesn't always have to be you. But to help you remember whether to use take or get, think about it as if it's one person choosing to do something, and you use get when it's two people and one of them is giving the person the other one. We say take my pills or I took my pills. We say that because when you own it, when it's yours, it means that you can use it, you can take it whenever you want, whenever you're supposed to. It's your decision. You don't have to ask permission from somebody. So when you say I took my pills, it wouldn't be I get my pills. If you say I get my pills, that would mean like you get them from the pharmacy, from the doctor, right? Because when you say get, it means that there has to be another person giving it to you. Now, you could say get or got a prescription. I got a prescription, or I am getting a prescription. Which means that somebody else had to give it to you, whether it was the doctor that gave it to you, or it was the pharmacy at the grocery store that gave it to you. So that's how we use take and get.